One of the things people say when they're done with the game is that they miss the mateship. And is that something you miss, or is there freedom from it all? Because you did make friends there.
Yeah, some of the players in the side I still stay in contact with. I've got a great deal of mates outside of cricket who, I spend all my sort of recreational time with, fishing and hunting and camping and that. And they're the people that, I used to miss when I was on tour. The older I got, the more homesick I used to get. I get homesick now being away from home. It only takes me a few days. But back in the old days, I could go away for 2 months and I wouldn't even batter an eyelid, I might think to ring mum every once a week or something. So I've definitely changed in that way, yeah.
Andrew Symonds and homesick. I mean, if you had told me Andrew Symonds gets homesick, I'd have said, no, you're talking about somebody else. But interesting to hear.
Yeah, it's true though. I'm not ashamed of it. That's just the way I feel. I really enjoy being at home, and being with my mates and my family. It's been something I haven't had for a good part of my life.
So that's really, in a sense, your approach to the game, isn't it? That you give nothing, that you take nothing. You're willing to say a little thing here and there to somebody, that you're going to come hard at someone, making him uncomfortable, and that's really your approach to cricket.
Yeah, yep, it was. When I first played, I played in a pretty uncompromising era. I played with a lot of the old-fashioned cricketers, and that sort of rubbed off on me. When I first played, I used to get the beer out of the fridge and bring it to the senior players and that sort of thing. And I tell the young players that now, and they don't believe me, but that was how it was. And the way that they played in the middle was uncompromising. If someone was hurt, that was a weakness to the opposition, and that's where you went in both feet. But by the same token, you have to be skillful in this game as well, because it's a difficult game. So that was one of my roles in the side as well. Myself and Matty Hayden sometimes would gang up on someone, or we might just see something and we just go for it.
What is the objective behind doing that? Because from a distance, it seems to me that if you can unsettle a player, then he's not thinking straight.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
It's just it's a way of trying to get another wicket, or intimidate someone, or put something in their mind for the rest of the series, or something like that. There was always a meaning to it. There was always a reason for it.
So, would you say anything personal to a player?
No, I've never been one for that. That's one thing I won't do. No.
The whole Harbhajan thing. How do you look back at it now? Because time is such a wonderful thing that allows you to look back with a completely different perspective. How do you look back at it?
Oh, mate, it was a very political time. It was it was a lot of grey areas, and it wasn't handled very well. I think Cricket Australia are intimidated by the Indian Cricket Board. And the thing I think that was grinding on me the most was the lying. I had four of my good mates in there with me, and we were made to look like idiots because the allegation was that this hadn't happened, and it had, and then the lies started. So, and then it became political, and the captain was made to look like a fool, and that should never have happened, and the other players were too, and I was, and it was just a really ugly incident. That if the truth and honesty had have prevailed, and common sense, there would have been a punishment for a player. It would have been dealt with, and it would have set a precedent for the future. But I don't think it's done that.
Did you read the judgment of the New Zealand judge eventually, and do you think he was swayed because he wasn't presented with the right evidence, the way you would have liked it to be?
But yeah, I think because it was really like a courtroom slugfest in the end, and the way that I think our side was put across wasn't as accurate as it needed to be. And we probably missed a couple of points that in the end probably cost the actual story dearly, or our side of the story dearly. So from there, we were in strife because our rebuttal and what have you wasn't watertight.
How easy was it to move on? Did it affect relationships? Did it sour you as a person?
Yeah, I'd have to say that I was angry at the time. I was just completely disillusioned with it all, I think, in the end, because it turned into a really big story, and I was embarrassed that my mates had been dragged down into it. Yeah, it was.
Because you're the kind who just moves on.
Yeah, I was embarrassed because of the other 4 blokes that were involved. If it had just been me, I would have just kept on going forwards. But
it's interesting. I met you a few days later. We were playing this little charity game at Bowral, and you were there as a representative of Skins, and you and I had to do a little chat for the audience over there. And you seemed fine to move on at the point. He said, "Look, what happened has happened. It happened on the field. I'm happy to move on and play cricket."
Yeah, maybe it hadn't sunk in at that point. As you said, I rushed away to do an endorsement thing, and then I suppose maybe when I came back to the side and it started to sink in over time, and I was with these blokes day after day, and there was people still writing about them in the paper. You think about their wives, their mothers and fathers, and that sort of thing, and I think it was, as I said, it was something that was handled poorly, and whether people didn't realise the ramifications of it all. Probably, you don't realise how big a part of the Australian life the Australian cricket team is. Like, everyone's interested.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the powers that be realised how big some of the players in that team were, like how fascinated the public are by them.
Yes.
So they want to know.